Hello everyone, welcome to the Ginger Snaps here. I'm your host, Steven Harrold.
I'm Kris.
And in today's video, we're going to actually be giving you guys our top 10 favorite VHS movies that we have in our collection. Now, we have been collecting VHS tapes for about almost 3 years now. Kris has gotten a bigger collection since we've started because he likes to go online and find good deals on eBay or whatever. Me, it's just I just happen to find some luck at flea markets or whatever the fuck. I haven't gone on eBay yet because I don't feel like spending $80 on a VHS tape unless, you know, the price is right. Anywho, so we do have a few honorable mentions of our collection. Now, I know a lot of you guys have probably already seen the VHS tapes on my collection, but you haven't seen any of his. So, for my honorable mentions on the VHS tapes that I have, obviously, one of them is going to be John Carpenter's Christine. This was I found at a flea market, and of course, as you guys can see, pristine condition. I was super happy to find this one because I'm a big John Carpenter fan, and also Christine happens to be a very lovely film that I actually adore, and also was the inspiration for Halloween Ends. And a lot of people don't like that movie, apparently. What's your honorable mention?
My honorable mention, as you guys may know in recent videos, I'm a huge Texas Chainsaw fan, and I think the one that I decided to pick as my honorable mention is the Next Generation. I actually picked this up at Calgary Horror Con last year. As everyone will have their opinion on it, I think it's a really good one. Matthew McConaughey really shows his acting skills in this one per se.
Yeah,
he's definitely not out of his realm in other movies that you would see him in. And you know, you have Renee Zellweger, who.
Well, it's funny. Like they decided because all the actors have disowned this movie, so all they've done is literally just put the two posters on either side. So if you like this poster, you can put it right there. If you like this poster, you put it there. Whatever, it's however the fuck you want to display it, I guess. I'm just used to the lipstick chainsaw one. That's what I'm used to.
But at the end of the day, if you're gonna own Texas Chainsaw, you have to own them all, despite bad or good. So
yeah. So thank you, Netflix, for doing Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. Now we'll never fucking own it on a physical copy. Second honorable mention I have, obviously, is going to be Child's Play, because this was it's not the original type of VHS tape that we saw back in the 80s, but this was a kick-ass find for me to get, and of course, you know, being in pristine condition. It's actually funny because how I obtained this one was because of 3 other VHS tapes I ended up obtaining the same day. One of them's in my prized possessions, the other one not so much. But yeah, let's get this video started. Oh, you have another honorable mention. That's right.
Yeah, I grew up watching this movie. It kind of scared me back when I was a kid, and then you kind of appreciate those movies that you remember when you were a kid. And This was definitely one of them, and it's Wes Craven's The People Under the Stairs. And if you've never seen the movie, you gotta watch the movie. It's a classic from the 90s. It's everything you would think for Wes Craven.
It's a movie that for sure I have to rewatch again because it's been so fucking long since I've seen that movie.
And it's I believe it was way before Scream was ever in the picture for Wes Craven.
Scream came out in 1996.
1996, and this came out in 1991.
Okay, so yeah, before Scream.
Before Scream, but it was really well done. The plot, the characters, everything. It was made in the 90s, but it had that feeling of the 60s, 70s, because it had still with the discrimination and everything like that.
Yeah.
And so it's a really good horror movie. Psychological thriller as well. So,
one of Wes Craven's best, obviously, too.
in my opinion, yeah. So there was that one.
All right, so who do you want to go first with one of your first prized possession horror films? Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
No, I'll go first.
Okay, cool.
Surprise possession. If there's anything that you guys would know of that I'm a huge fan of, and it's Jaws, and I know everyone's gonna have their copy of Jaws in VHS.
There's so many copies. That's why I don't own it, because it's like, well, I can just pick it up anywhere.
It's a classic, and you know, you can't go wrong with Jaws. As to, you know, I know it's sealed. I have a problem with keeping them sealed, but it's
not a bad thing.
I have a lot of copies of the movie. You know, the 50th anniversary, the 30th anniversary. It's one of those movies that is just timeless, and you know, I think it brought the whole shark movie genre. It started it.
Yeah.
Because after that, it just kept going on with different ones, and now to this day, they're still making more shark movies. And as also, I must elaborate, I'm a huge shark fan, so you know, you tend to love something that's close to your heart, and then you find a movie that's like that, and Jaws was that. And again, it was another movie that scared me when I was a kid, but you grow to appreciate it. And you have Richard Dreyfuss, and you have oh my god,
Brody.
Brody.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Roy Schneider.
Or Roy Schneider, that's who it is. Apologies.
We're old. Fuck. We're old. So one of my prized possessions, just to follow up on the previous one actually, is going to be Child's Play 2. Child's Play 2 was the first Child's Play film I'd actually watched when I was a kid. It was one of the ones a friend of mine had recorded, and he let me borrow it, and he became too scared and then let me own it. So Child's Play 2, whenever I get to doing the Child's Play franchise, I'm going to be super excited to actually talk about Child's Play 2, because this is actually one of my daughter's favorite movies too, because she loves Chucky, and obviously Child's Play 2, you see a lot of Chucky. You don't get to see much of him in the first film.
And funny enough, I've known Steven for a very long time, and actually he looked like that when he was a kid. So the resemblance is uncanny. So, but anyways, for my second video that I'm gonna share with you, I recently got it. It turned 100 last year, and it's, you know, there's not much more appreciation for a silent film era at all. So, and I really got drawn to it, and it's a classic. I think it's the vampire movie that started everything, and that's Nosferatu. And
Nosferatu,
whatever.
Clamshell too.
And it's clamshell. I have a thing with clamshells. But I think it's just, when you went to the movie stores back in the day, the Blockbuster, the Rogers Video, all that stuff, there was always clamshells. And I think it's just more nostalgic with you have the clamshell. It just protects it more, and it's just a great movie. It's not much appreciated nowadays because no one will have the time and the patience to actually physically read. And
there are so many different copies of Nosferatu on VHS, which, of course, the silent era version with Max Schreck in it. But the thing about, like I don't know if you guys are like this too when you see your VHSs and you got these stickers on them. This one being from a St. John County Public Library.
Shout out to St. John.
Yeah, thanks. I don't know if you guys are always keen on keeping those on there. I mean, like, I know if you guys have the horror movie sticker, the green that says horror on it, you'll keep it, whatever. That's fine, right? But other stickers like that, do you guys like rip them off or try not to? I don't know. But yeah, not bad of a find, especially in VHS form, especially for a silent era film. And I've seen Nosferatu, and you know, it's one of the classics. And you know, for being 100 years old, fuck, I just wish I had done that 100th anniversary video for it. I really wish I did. So for my next prized possession is actually going to be Prom Night. Now, of course, it's sealed, so we're all good there. This I got from the Calgary Horror Con for fucking $10, so I was like, okay, that's a steal. Jamie Lee Curtis, obviously, very great in this fucking movie. Leslie Nielsen as well. another film that I was shocked that he was in the fucking movie, and it's a horror movie, so Leslie Nielsen, everything's great about him. This movie I do have to rewatch again though, because the first time I had seen it and the second time I had seen it, it was very dark, and I don't know if it was because of my friend's TV or whatever, but we turned the lights off and it was just way too fucking dark. So I gotta rewatch Prom Night again to get refreshed. All I know is that it's better than the fucking remake that they came out with.
A lot of things are better than the remakes.
Exactly, 100%.
So my next prized possession,
But not all remakes are bad, because there's a few movies here that define that remakes can be good.
they can. I'm glad that they haven't touched this one as a remake, because I think
It's gonna be fucking hard.
it's going to be very hard. It's a classic. It has one of the most unexpected endings in any one of the horror movies in this time frame. And that's going to be Sleepaway Camp. And it's in a very, very good condition. It's barely been touched. It's a classic 80s slash.
The thing about the Sleepaway Camp now that some people have now said that this movie is kind of tarnished because of the ending, but that's because of people nowadays where it's just like, oh, it's transphobic, and I'm like, that's not what this movie was going for, like, at all. So why certain horror movies that are actually deemed classics are now getting this stupid stamp saying, oh, it's this phobic or whatever like that? Just knock that shit the fuck off, because it's not meant for that, okay? It's like when people sit there and talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre saying, oh, this movie is about Vietnam. It's like, no, it's fucking... Even Gunnar Hansen even says, no, this movie's just about fucking meat. Like, get off it.
And like with Sleepaway Camp and like any video back in those days, they never thought in their mind that they're trying to upset anybody or anything like that. It was made in '83.
Yeah.
So we're talking like almost 30 years ago.
No, exactly.
So, I think they just find something to pick on and then make it a big deal when it's not really a big deal. So.
Yeah, it's usually how it goes, pretty much. So the next prized possession I have in my collection is going to be Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. Now, me and Kris do have our own copies of this, same cover. We just love these original paintworks that the posters actually had. This was one of the VHS tapes that Kris had gotten from the Calgary Horror Con, but then I traded with him to get this, and then he ended up getting part 3 and 4 on VHS again, so I was like, okay, well, fuck you too. But Nightmare on Elm Street 4, I know a lot of people have said that this movie absolutely sucks, and I'm like, I don't see that. This movie's actually really good. The one thing I do remember about this fucking VHS, though, was my oldest brother had recorded a lot of horror movies on VHS. This was one of them, but for some odd reason, some sort of color fading was going on, so the movie would go to its original, with color, and then it'd go black and white, and then it'd go sharp fucking red, and then back to the original color. So when I had to rewatch this fucking movie again, it was like, oh, it feels nice when it doesn't change the color of the fucking VHS tape.
Yeah, definitely. So my next one, it would probably be I don't even know what number we're at, but I think it's classic. I think it was one of the movies back in 06. Was it 06?
03.
Was it 03?
Yeah, 2003.
Jesus.
Almost 20 years ago.
Almost 20
coming up
years
this
ago.
year.
And it was a movie that everybody was anticipating, and I think, my opinion, it delivered, and that's Freddy vs. Jason. And you can't go wrong with the movie at all. It was everything. It's me and my sister's favorite movie that we like, that we both enjoy. It just has everything. It has the fights.
Well, not
the
everything.
kills.
It doesn't have Kane Hodder.
Well, no, it doesn't have Kane Hodder, but it has the funny joking. It has the killing. It has the drama.
It was one of my most anticipated movies of 2003, because you gotta remember back, like, I know we're all used to fucking Marvel and the Avengers and all that shit, right? And BVS and King Kong versus Godzilla and whatnot. But you guys gotta remember, like, there was not many versus movies coming out in a while. I mean, like the last Versus movie was what, a piss poor version of Godzilla versus Kong, and before that they had the 30s and the 40s with the monsters. You know, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman and all that kind of stuff. So when Freddy versus Jason was finally greenlit, it was one of those movies where it was just like this was something that was in production for fucking 12 years. We finally got it. I have some things I have to say about Freddy vs. Jason, but that comes to when a review comes out. But yeah, other than that, it was definitely one of the last of both the Nightmare on Elm Street and the Friday the 13th franchise that came out on VHS, because the other films would come out in 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, prized possession, Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. This guy actually bought this on, I want to say eBay, and he did it just to trigger me, and it fucking worked, because I was like, no, I fucking love Jason Lives. This is my all-time favorite Jason film. It was the first one I ever saw, and it's the one that has stuck with me through all the years. It's the one that shockingly has no nudity in it, which is fucking weird, right? But Jason does some of his best work in this fucking movie, and I know you've been getting a lot of the steel books. Mm-hmm. I'm anticipating the steel book for this one because it's got to be all blue and shit. It's got to look nice.
Oh, I agree.
And CJ Graham as Jason, fucking, he kills it. He's one of my top 5 Jason performances.
So,
oh boy,
my next pick, 2 prized possessions. I think.
You're just gonna clam them up as all together?
I'm gonna put them both together because they're in the same. They're 2 classics, and I really enjoy the cases. I'm a sucker, like I said, for clamshells, and I don't think you can be a Romero fan if you don't have these 2 copies, Day of the Dead and Dawn of the Dead. And like going back to what Steven said about the remakes, the Dawn of the Dead remake, I had no issue with. I thought it was well done.
It was a well done fucking remake.
It was a well done remake. They weren't trying to.
The Day of the Dead remake sucked though.
Day of the Dead remake did suck.
No, that one did suck.
With the remake for Dawn of the Dead, they didn't try so hard to make it like the original. They kind of made it its own. They had their fair share of actors in there and actresses, so I quite enjoyed it. But those 2, I seen the clamshells and they popped for me. So.
I mean, like, there are so many different designs for VHSs when it comes to that, and when he showed me those ones, I was like, whoa, those are actually nice looking. So those ones I can understand why they would be in your collection, of, especially being your prized possessions. For the next one I have as a prized possession is going to be, here you go, A Nightmare on Elm Street. This cover I have always fallen in love with. I do have the poster for it, obviously just sitting on the wall over there. But this poster has always, like, when you think of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, you always think of these kick-ass artworks that the films always came out with. You don't think of the digitally remastered bullshit covers that they came out with after.
It's all about media.
Oh yeah, it's all about that fucking media. And like just everything you got with these covers, like you visually walking into like a video store, you see these guys just sitting there, you immediately as a kid you're just like, well, what's that about? And then you just check the box out, right? But yeah, I mean, like Nightmare on Elm Street, like I was looking for this one for the longest time, and then found this cover. I was like, yeah, fuck, I'm taking that one for sure.
Well, no, you can't go wrong with media or MCA, even our Anchor Bay as well. Like all of these ones are no longer with us.
Anchor Bay, no.
I think Anchor Bay.
Yeah, I guess.
So my next one.
Fox though.
Oh, Fox too.
Yeah.
But so my next one that I have, I just recently picked up on eBay.
Fucking cocksucker.
It's a movie.
This pisses me off.
It's a movie that, as a couple of days ago, on the 25th, it would have been his birthday, Toby Hooper. And I watched this movie and I was a little bit skeptical about it, and then I rewatched it again, And
you didn't like the first time.
I didn't like the first time, but
I did.
I grew to like it, and I had a little Toby Hooper kick, and it's the Funhouse.
The Funhouse!
And it's in clamshell as well, and you see the MCA logo on there as well, which just pops with the green.
What was the scene that affected you the most there, Kris?
It was the gypsy with the Frankenstein mask, and it's just back in those days they just came up with anything, and it was just the second time I watched it, it was entertaining, and it was.
Movies have that effect on you sometimes.
They do, and Toby Hooper was one of those guys that directed, and he just found weird ways to make a movie. And I think that's why to this day he still gets appreciated for all the movies, especially his biggest one with Texas Chainsaw. So you can't go wrong with Toby Hooper, and he has a lot of other movies under his belt as well. So just gotta appreciate the classics.
Oh yeah, exactly. Speaking of classics, we got some doubleheader with John Carpenter because again, John Carpenter. Brilliant mind when it comes to the horror. He's the master of horror. These two VHSs we got at the Calgary Horror Con, and it was funny. We both dibs one of them, and there was 2 copies there. So it was like, oh, okay, cool. I guess we get our own copies. But both of these copies, I needed the original cases for, and that is, of course, John Carpenter's The Fog, because I absolutely adore The Fog. This movie, when I first watched it for the first time, I couldn't believe how impressed I was with this fucking film. It was like, yeah, John Carpenter nailed it. And of course, controversial take, this might be my favorite John Carpenter film of all time. And that is The Thing. The Thing is John Carpenter's masterpiece. I think anyone, especially I know you guys see the background behind me, it's all Halloween, and you guys probably are thinking, well, fucking, it's Halloween, right? John Carpenter's The Thing, I honestly feel like is his holy grail. It's his masterpiece. It's the one he's definitely known for sure. And it's just a fucking shame that a lot of people didn't understand it back then. But I mean, there's another movie on this fucking list I have here that a lot of people didn't understand back in the day. That's not appreciated, but now it's appreciated now.
So my next one, we're going back, way back.
Way back.
I grew...
Before any of us were fucking born.
I grew a huge fond for this guy, and he's responsible for a lot of great makeup designers and
a lot of makeup, like Rick Baker,
all of them.
Rob Bottin, a lot of them pretty much were impressed with this guy.
Yeah, because back then he didn't do he did all of his own makeup, and I grew
That's
a big fan.
Dead giveaway there too.
And we're talking about Lon Chaney and Senior, and with one of my favorites that I've seen, and they just recently put it on Blu-ray, and that's The Hunchback of Notre Dame. And for a movie that's in 2 years that will turn, or actually in this year, it'll be turning 100.
Another one.
1923.
Well, I think I know our next review there, Kris. Hunchback of Notre Dame, 100th anniversary.
And if you haven't seen it, there's so many versions, including the Disney version.
Well, everyone knows the Disney version, but I feel like, because I remember watching this version of the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and I feel like the Disney version that we had seen, that we grew up with, heavily had this movie as a reference. Because there's a lot of scenes in that Disney one that I've seen in that Lon Chaney one. I was like, fuck, I think they took some things and just put it in that one instead. Oh, like the whole, when the tomatoes are being thrown at him and shit like that. Like that scene. Tomatoes. Tomatoes.
And,
tomatoes.
And with Lon Chaney, he had to wear
a harness?
It was a hump
on
his back. Yeah. And I think he said it weighed like 10 to 15 pounds just on his back.
And did his own acrobatic stunts.
And did all his stunts. So it's like, you have to appreciate the stuff back then, especially close to 100 years old.
Yeah.
And you just got to appreciate that kind of stuff. And that's why I have so much respect for Lon Chaney and everything that he's done for the horror, for all of horror.
He was a pioneer for horror,
Absolutely.
and like he was an absolute pioneer. I mean, his son became a great actor, Lon Chaney Jr., and he's one of my favorites because he did The Wolfman. Is he my all-time favorite of the classics? No, that's Vincent Price. But enough of that kind of topic, because I mean I could sit here for a while and talk about all the old classics. Mm-hmm. I know he also as well. We have our own favorites classics. I mean, like, name your top 3.
Phantom of the Opera.
I mean actors.
Oh, actors.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lon Chaney.
But senior or junior?
Senior. Vincent Price. And probably Alfred Hitchcock.
But he's the director.
I still think that he influenced a lot.
Okay.
I think he brought the psycho thriller genre to where it's at today.
Yeah. Like my top 3 are Vincent Price, Lon Chaney Jr., and then Bela Lugosi, because I mean Bela Lugosi was so underrated. Next film I have in my VHS collection, of course, Halloween fan, you have to have it. It's Halloween. John Carpenter's Halloween. It's this version where it's very holographic and shit like that. Yeah, lenticular. This was the only one that we had saw at the Calgary Horror Con that was not that Blockbuster exclusive, Blockbuster Presents one. I know a lot of people do like that VHS cover for some odd reason. I personally don't, because it
takes away from the cover.
It takes away because you got the Blockbuster Presents, and it's like, what the fuck? Well, why is this there? But like, that's why with this one it's different, because it's the two it's the two covers. You see the pumpkin with a knife, and then you see Michael's profile there. Just had to get it because being Halloween fan, you have to have it. And as for the other 2 videos that I have left in my prized possessions, if you're a Halloween fan, you gotta have them in your collection. You just have to.
Absolutely.
This is your last one.
This is my last one, but it's I already mentioned it already, and it's hard to find copies of this.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, it really is, and it's already in 2 years it'll be turning 100, and I think it's one of those iconic. It has so many covers and remakes of it.
So many remakes.
But you can't go wrong with the original, and that's the Phantom of the Opera. And I love this cover. I think it's Hollywood gold. So the gold, I don't know if the gold is really, it shows the shine, but like
it does. I see it. Yeah.
It's just a great condition, and it's just a classic, and it's one of my favorites. So which also came on Blu-ray. If you love Lon Chaney Sr., they released this as well on Blu-ray 2-disc edition.
Yeah, well, I'm just waiting for them to find a certain movie and just release it on Blu-ray or 4K. London After Midnight.
They won't do that.
I just have this feeling someone has a copy of it and just ain't saying shit. I just have that feeling. Mm-hmm. The last 2 movies I have for my prized possessions, I'm just going to go quick with one of them because I'm actually going to be talking about this film later on someone else's channel. That, of course, being Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Everyone already knows. This is one of the first horror movies I ever saw in my life. It's the one that I really have like a love-hate relationship with because, like certain things don't make sense. This is when they decided just stick with the brother-sister storyline, but the sister wasn't there anymore. So, but nonetheless, and I know a lot of people hate the mask in this movie, but it's grown on me. It's one of those masks I absolutely love. But prized possession, of course, it's everyone's favorite Halloween film because everyone absolutely loves it, right? It is Halloween 3: The Return. Wow, Halloween 3: The Return of Michael Myers. Wow, I'm fucking dumb. Halloween 3: Season of the Witch.
You can call yourself a Halloween.
Fuck, I fucked up my words. Parent brain there. Halloween 3: Season of the Witch. Like I said to you guys when I did my movie review, he was originally supposed to be with me on that review because we were both fans. of Halloween 3. Chris, actually show them what you got me for Christmas, which is kick-ass. Yeah.
So, and I was busy at work
Yeah.
at the time.
At the time, he was busy at work, so I couldn't get him to come over. But like I said, when this movie came out, when I was a kid, I never watched it because I was told Michael Myers wasn't in it. And then as an adult, when they came out with the DVD collector's editions of Halloween 2 and Halloween 3, I bought Halloween 2, and I was like, you know what? I might as well buy Halloween 3 just for the sake of watching it. Now, my intent was to actually watch Halloween 2 that night, but I had seen it so many times, and I never gave Halloween 3 a shot. And I was like, you know what? Okay, I already know Michael Myers isn't in this movie, so you know what? Let's just watch it and for what it is. I watched it, and I was like, why is this movie getting so much fucking hate? This movie's amazing. I showed it to you. You liked it the first time you saw it.
I hated it.
What do you mean you hated it the first time you saw it?
I hated it. I was one of those where I just like, man, there's no Michael. And then, that, like I said, there's that, you grow and you watch it more and more and more, and then you start to appreciate it more.
Like a certain movie that came out in October this past year.
Oh, Halloween Ends. And, you know...
That's the new Halloween 3.
And you know what? Everyone's going to have their own skeptical reviews about it, but you know what? I think it was well done. I commend David Gordon Green for the 3 that he put out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can't complain with any of them, to be honest.
Yeah, and remember, guys, David Gordon Green's doing The Exorcist now. So, we know he did good with the Halloween franchise. Let's see if we can finally bring The Exorcist full circle. Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. That's our top favorite gems in our VHS collections. I know Chris had a lot more that he would wanted to show later on. When it comes down to it, eventually we're gonna want a shelf that features all of our VHSs, and then we can give you guys a tour of that, so you guys can actually see it and see all the VHSs he has, all the VHSs I have. But of course, you know, that's something that has to go later on down the road. So I know a lot of people have been going on YouTube and watching a lot of these VHS tapes and watching people's collections, and hopefully you guys don't mind our little top 10 collection here, and then maybe later on he can show off his full collection. I can show off my full collection, even though you guys have practically seen a few of them. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much going to be it for me, guys. So anything you want to say, Chris?
Oh, I'm looking forward to starting my own channel here, hopefully soon. Just getting out there. Horror, sports, cooking as well. I'm a chef, so I can do a little bit of cooking here.
He can cook you a mean-ass bologna sandwich.
Absolutely. Lips and assholes all day. But my name was Chris. Thank you guys for watching.
And I'm Steven Harrold from the Ginger Snaps here. Thanks for watching. Stay spooky, you guys.